Jalen Hurts. He's been a pretty prominent topic in sports media lately. Is he an elite quarterback in your eyes? So Ziggy, a lot of people are starting to turn in favor of Jalen after an entire season of, years of making fun of him and saying that he's carried by the roster. Are you going to continue that narrative, or are you going to go with the people who are now saying, hey, you know what? This is a Super Bowl champion who's played really well in the playoffs. Let's give him some more respect. Where do you come down?
I think if him winning a Super Bowl changed your opinion on him, you're not thinking about this the right way. Like, look, he made it to the Super Bowl in 2022. It's just true. Now, you might say like a real playoff run again made a difference. But Jalen Hurts, in my mind, is basically the same player he's been since that breakout 2021 year where they got obliterated by the Buccaneers in the playoffs. Mm-hmm. He's a solid quarterback. He's the single best, like, third and short or fourth and short player in the history of football, at least at his position. There's nobody better than that. He's an effective passer when you put good weapons around him, and he's good at operating an offense. Like, Jalen Hurts is a weapon for this team. He's not the number one weapon. He's not even the number two weapon, but Jalen Hurts lets you do things that no other quarterback can. There is no other quarterback in the NFL that can operate drives like Jalen Hurts does. The Eagles are known for this. So it's like 8, 9, 10-minute drives that just suck the air out of opponents. Yeah, Packers fans, you remember this from last year. Like, if you give the Eagles the ball with 9 minutes left in the game, you might not get it back.
Ziggy,
or if you get it back, it'll be too late.
Do you remember the Vikings-Eagles game from, I think, it might have been 2022 at this point.
I try not to.
I think it was week 2 of the season. And there was just one drive where we couldn't stop them. So like running down your throat, tush pushes, everything, like 6-7 minute drives to just kill the clock. And I remember watching this thinking to myself, like, this team, when they get in a groove between Hurts and, now adding Saquon, you see what they have with him. But between the offensive line and Jalen with his legs and now Saquon on the ground, they can get into these moments where they are purely unstoppable.
Yeah, so this is the thing. Jalen Hurts is very, very good at what he does. He's one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL. And I always say this, it's very hard with players to separate like how good we think they are over the actual results on the field.
Yeah.
I hate saying that when a player does great every year and their team keeps winning games, they're no good, or when a team does terrible every year, they aren't, especially at the quarterback position. There were several games during the postseason this year where Jalen Hurts basically disappeared, right? He had 65 total passing yards in one. He had 112 in another. He took a bunch of sacks this postseason. He took 13 sacks in 4 games, which is just crazy. On the other hand, they won a bunch of games and he's been good. So is Jalen Hurts elite? I don't think so. I would not put him with the NFL's elite, but he has a unique set of talents that no other quarterback does. And the Eagles offense is built to maximize that. So I don't think he's one of, say, the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks in the NFL. I'd expect the Eagles to have one of the 3 or 4 best results consistently in the NFL, as long as he's quarterbacking that team, because they know what they're doing.
And the NFL is hard. I completely agree with what you said in the beginning there. The NFL is a little different than if you're looking at the NBA or some of these other sports where it's so team reliant, right? Remember the season that Joe Burrow just had right now, and they didn't even make the playoffs because the defense was that bad. They had 4 of the 9 games where a team scored 31 points and lost was from the Bengals. It's very team-oriented football more than any other sport, so to say. So Jalen Hurts, I do think, to a degree, he is carried by that roster. It's a great roster. But I'm also with you where you say, hey, this guy's 37-10 over the past 4 seasons. Or I'm sorry, 3 seasons in the regular season. 37-10. Now with the Super Bowl and with another Super Bowl run in his back pocket. That's hard to do. Like, I don't care who you are. Joe Burrow has not done that. Josh Allen has not done that. Now, the Eagles do have a better team, and that's where you have to acknowledge that, Jalen benefits from that. But most quarterbacks aren't going to, even with a very talented team, go on the types of runs that the Eagles have had. And I do think that stems back to Jalen Hurts being a winner. He's been a winner everywhere he's gone. And you see the reels now on TikTok and Instagram about him, overcoming the challenges at Bama, overcoming the doubters in the NFL. I wouldn't put him as a top 4 quarterback either. I wouldn't put him in that class with Mahomes, Allen, Lamar, Burrow. I'm not even sure I'd put him at 5. But I would say he's definitely a top 10 quarterback in the league and someone that you believe in to win games. And at the end of the day, that's what matters in the NFL. winning football games. And Jalen Hurts does that. Sure, it might be a little unconventional at times, but he's a winner, and I'd want him on my team. So I would agree with you. I'm not going to say he's an elite quarterback, but he's a guy that should no longer be getting the flack that he's been getting for several seasons now.
Yeah, and I don't know why he was getting so much flack. He put together, I mean, the 2021 season was his breakout year. It was after a rookie year. They sort of showed up. I get that they didn't have a perfect season. I get that they got bounced in the postseason. 2022, you go to the Super Bowl. 2023 is an off year. And then no matter how good this Eagles team looked all year, people were questioning him. I'll be honest, I was questioning him a little bit, but I didn't think he was a terrible quarterback. I was just suspicious of everything else around the Eagles staying at the level it was. But he's a quarterback you can not just win with, but again, because of the kinds of things he can do so well, there's no quarterback like him in the NFL. And as long as you're in that class, who cares if he's elite or not? He's a great player. He's got a great story. There's a decent chance this won't be his last Super Bowl. You got to be a fan. Unless, I mean, he plays for the Eagles, so you don't have to be a fan. If you were on any other team, you'd have to be a fan.
Yeah, I mean, he's the exact guy you want leading your franchise. Always says the right thing, doesn't get too high, doesn't get too low, cool under pressure. I mean, the best game of his career is still probably that first Chiefs Super Bowl where he was just dominant. And I mean, look, yeah, the guy's been awesome in the playoffs too most of the time. He had it, like this year, a couple weird games in there. But I'm not going to get on him too much for the snow game with the Rams. Like that was another bizarre game when you're playing in those sorts of weather conditions. Yeah, I'm totally on board with Jalen Hurts being he's a fringe top 10 quarterback. Is that what you said?
No, I think he's better than that.
What, like maybe 7 or 8?
I think he's a fringe top 5. Like, I don't think he gets in the top 5, but I think he's like, who are the guys above him? Patrick Mahomes, undefeated past 2 seasons. Josh Allen, Joe Burrow, Lamar Jackson. He's beaten all those guys. Like, this is the question I think if you're a Jalen Hurts skeptic, you have to ask yourself, after this season, what more do you want from him? Like, what could he show you more than what he's shown over the past couple seasons?
I think people are going to say they want him to become more consistent as a passer. Like, remember, you can't forget this year, there was the whole A.J. Brown drama. Like, there was drama in Philly, and a lot of it was around Jalen Hurts' abilities as a passer. But, winning a Super Bowl cures all those things. And that's something you want to see him become more consistent there. But again, that's part of what makes Jalen Hurts kind of one of the uniquer quarterbacks in the league is sometimes he is off throwing. But he's such a threat on the ground that does make up for it. He's not like Lamar, but that tush push is unstoppable. And it is a play that you saw it cost Buffalo the divisional round game. But I'm with you. You talked me into that top 5 there because after the 4 quarterbacks, if you're thinking who's in that 5 spot right now, like Jaden Daniels will probably come up. You'll probably have Justin Herbert or CJ Stroud, right? Those are the guys that we're talking about now for the top 5. And Jalen Hurts is probably in that group, right?
He's done somewhere in there. He has done substantially more than anyone you could put below him, and quite a bit more than just about anybody above him.
Yeah, if you're saying Herbert, Daniels, and Stroud as the next group, maybe you could talk about throwing Stafford or Love. Some people might put Goff in there, but let's say you're talking Stroud, Daniels, and Justin Herbert. I think he can make an argument for Jalen Hurts above almost any of those guys. Like
he's done a heck of a lot more than them in the playoffs.
Yeah. So I would probably take all of them over Jalen. Like I probably would, but I think he's in that group.
I wouldn't.
So
I'm taking Jalen Hurts over all of them. Again, I just think there's a bigger gap between him and the top 4 than there is between him and the guys right below him.
Yes, I would agree with that. The top 4 is clearly cemented. But when you're talking about, the very, very best in the world there, it's not bad to be in that second group. If you have that second group there, you're probably should be going to the playoffs.